Hello. Hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm glad to see you all today here, and really, it's a brilliant opportunity that after this last year, we have a possibility to invite and see you here. Why I decided to speak about this linkage between consumer and future of the consumer to a business, and how do they transform each other, because really this is a form of interaction between humans, between communities, and we see how our world is changing, maybe faster than we thought before. And really, if years ago we had much more peer-to-peer communications, right now we are more and more participating in different groups, in different in different business, and I would like first to give you a small background of what we are doing, and that's why I will be a bit less interactive than Alexander today morning. We will have much more facts and figures, because I represent an EY knowledge department in a global consulting company, EY, which is known by its previous name as well, Ernst & Young. And yes, working with our consultant services, with our audit services, we have to have a very strong go-to-market strategy, go-to-market teams, and that's why we have brand marketing and communication, which is more or less usual. And apart from that, we have a global markets team, which is really global, and I think that our advantage is that we're a global company, and we can implement our knowledge on all the markets where we are presented. You can see that all over the world we have only knowledge about 700 people. In CS, much less, but anyway, we're covering different kind of directions of our business support. So it is research and analysis, and we will see some examples of that, because our partners, who are the main sellers, the main owners of our business, have to have some, let's say, giveaway materials to the companies they are speaking with. We make all the knowledge management of our internal and external data, and we carry about platforms and infrastructure. This is as well about interaction, about persons, about business within our company, because I can tell you, when I looked our first financial lists, financial sheets, I think from 1995 it was only one Excel sheet. Right now it is quite advanced CRM system and our intranet system, where we can easily find professionals that can share with you experience We have these databases where we analyze trends and megatrends that we have on the markets. We analyze what is going with consumers, and certainly with a bit new for business things like ESG agenda that we heard today from Alexander. And I think that these changes are driven with the trends that we have. Trends are really quick. I don't know who knows what does it mean, wiki. So actually, wiki is a fast, quick. So it is a fast and quick encyclopedia, and this word comes from Haitian language. And you can see that only in 20 years, all this digital transformation really came, because Wikipedia was established 20 years ago, for example. Here, I decided to show you some meta trends that are formulated by the futurologist Peter Diamandidis. We also have, as a company, our own megatrends, and I will tell you a bit more later. But what I like with this futurologist, that he is really optimistic about digital, because you can see the first point that really all the changes and digitalization, in his opinion, can increase global abundance. So the idea is that, yes, we can even fight with poverty. We can give more jobs for people that are working distantly, or the inclusive ones. And this is one of the ideas that I like. Maybe I'm not as optimistic as he is, but anyway, we can see that right now we can work more successfully distant. And yes, we work with some people with disabilities in our company. They have this opportunity now. So we can skip some, because yes, accelerating demonetization with all the cryptocurrencies and other platforms. And yes, these fintech, finance technologies changes are making our life faster. Yes, everyone, everywhere, probably very soon will be connected at really gigabit speeds everywhere. What is important, yes, that everything and everywhere is connected, so you know, Internet of Things, yes? And right now, for example, I do like that many things in our life, for example, even agriculture, are going with that Internet of Things. And yes, in such places like Dubai, Singapore, they already have so much these detectors that automate our life a lot. And yes, you can know anything, anytime, anywhere, and we will speak about this tomorrow as well, because this is an advantage of a lot of companies, and they now know how to monetize this. Yes, autonomous personalized transport, increasing human intelligence, and we'll speak more about artificial intelligence more tomorrow, because artificial intelligence as well is widely used by the state, by government. And yes, BCI, this is pretty new for us, but it's really fast developed. So BCI is brain-computer interface where we can really, without any physical contact, communicate with computer. Yes, increasing human longevity, health span, and as well we touched this early morning. Capital abundance, access to capital everywhere. This is more in link with demonetization and globally abundant, cheap, renewable energy. With renewable energy, I think this is as well is one of the most important things and changes that we are waiting for, because batteries becomes better and better, and if we have and build up really networks that will be, for example, operated by blockchain, this will be much more effective, and we will have an access to energy practically everywhere. I told that we as a company, yes, formulated several megatrends. They are, for example, decarbonization, the economic Cold War. So everybody closing technology more and more from country to country, from business to business. Then what is more closer to our today's discussion is behavioral economy, synthetic media, because also conversation between customer and business. This is certainly advertising and media. Future of thinking, because we will have different kind of media. Work and life balance, microbiomes and synthetic biology. So some things are technical and about future technologies, they are interesting, but I do not mention them in a presentation. When pandemic starts, we decide to monitor how consumer change and who will be our future consumer, who will drive all the processes in a business in our life. And here I mention several points, because yes, we see some changes, because yes, we have some limits due to these COVID years. We have some drivers, because we see that newer generations are coming, and they're really different in their consumption habits, in their values, and I think this is really good, because they will bring us a certain velocity and certain energy in all these processes. Yes, big data, a very difficult point, because yes, we have more and more data, but sometimes we can't share this big data properly. We have different restrictions. We all can be under control. That's all change really our custom habits. And certainly we are moving to a sharing economy where really it is much more even profitable, probably not to own a car, an apartment, all these kind of things. This is very difficult, for example, for me to understand, but I can see how things are changing, because yes, technology really can propose us in new opportunities, how to do it cheaper, faster, and more effective way. So, yes, this year topic I mentioned here, new realities of human and personal interaction. And certainly, these interactions can and become digital more and more. And we can see that these affect emotions. And for example, what is changing everywhere in business as well. For example, about 18 years ago, I was a head of research in one of the major telecom operators in Russia. And we really sell a product done by engineers to people that are not engineers. And it was a very long list of minutes, bytes, restrictions, ways to pay, etc. And we, as a company, invited a new CEO from Coca-Cola. By the way, he came and tell, it doesn't matter what I selling, Coca-Cola or a pair of sneakers or telecom services. People have to enjoy. They should like your brand. They should like how you treat them. And this was a very strong market step to a success that time. And certainly right now, business and companies are starting to sell more and more emotions because they have more opportunities. For example, I think you, as a younger audience, know that you can order a pair of sneakers on the Nike side, for example, that are designed by you, and they will have your emotions and they will fit you much more and more. Next, yes, we have a very big problem, I will say, with the trust in the digital connections, because yes, we are now facing all the fake news. It's very difficult sometimes to check where information come from, and even if states are trying to take that under control, I think that they will never succeed because internet is a place where you can't rule everything, probably even except you are from China. So communities, as I said in the very beginning, we are now at a stage of building communities. It's much easier to speak to your neighbors, for example, discussing the issues at your place, building, or region. It's much easier to build up groups of FNs or of somebody, and you know much better than me that now opinion makers are changing a lot. And we will speak today more about values because we have a very strong shift in values, and figures really prove that. By the way, all the information from the slides is from the open sources, so if you will have a possibility to distribute this presentation, you can use these figures. This is an example of the changes that we had during this year for Russian customers. Situation is interesting because situation is interesting because right now people at the beginning of lockdown, they spoke more about their worries, how they struggle, how do they adapt. And we can see that audience was divided more or less half to half. And what we measured a bit later when lockdown was at its end, that customers, some of them certainly will keep cutting their spendings a lot. They will stay frugal, and still it is up to a half of the people. But we see a very interesting segment of people, these 14%, that willing to pay a premium for certain products. And we will see what kind of products. And this shift as well was affected because, for example, if I remember well, 38% of people tell us that they will go much less to the shops, but will buy more simultaneously. And as well, who are the drivers? So we see that different segments have different results in terms of which purchasing criteria is important for them. And what is interesting for me that people who are probably not the survivors, but people who suffer from this time, they are more interested to the points. So, for example, about if the product is organic, if it's value for organization, sustainability. That's why I think that all the changes probably will be driven with, let's say, hungry customers. So hungry, not that they are really hungry, but they are hungry for the new values, new development on the market. And apart from these hungry people, hungry to changes, we see that Generation Z is really different, and they are probably are going to be our future consumer that will as well affect all other groups, because all the previous generations we did not found any real crucial difference in figures, but you can see that Z on the top of the right picture, they already 1/3 of them are willing to pay a premium, and for the other generations, they are not willing too much to pay a premium, and for that, they are also very keen on how the user is comfortable, how products are personalized. They are much more attentive to if the product is ethical. Certainly, virtual technologies and delivery services. But on the left is also interesting figures, because we can see that some points that were really important before, they become a bit less attractive to customers, and we start to see increase of, for example, personalized products, ethical products, which we never saw before. How does that affect business? We can see right now the process of building the ecosystems. And ecosystems, probably a few years ago, it was more about the supply chain, where the product was delivered more effective and digital and technological way. But right now, this is not enough to have changes only in supply chains, because you have include in your services marketplaces, new infrastructure, and synergy with other ecosystems. I can give you an example from our company. Before, even 5 years ago, we think about companies like IBM, Microsoft, SAP as our competitors. And now we are in a very strong alliances because our clients, for them, is not enough to have, for example, an advice. They like to have an effective implementation with a better price and with a larger effectiveness. So who were the pioneers of developing these ecosystems? Certainly banks and telecoms, building fintech ecosystems, and right now I think that this process actually done because, for example, we decided to stop measure fintech fintech development a couple of years because in such countries like China, India, and Russia, penetration of the fintech services were up to 98%. So process is more or less finished and right now is only developed and going better. Yes, high tech, and high tech is everywhere. We can see that, for example, pharma and healthcare, they're becoming distant as well with all the remote technologies and the Internet of Things. Yes, as state and governments are real drivers of technologies and ecosystems as well, because they have to operate in this environment and make digitalization proper way. Transport and logistics, this is really one that is ahead of many industries. I can give you an example of our company because we, with the fracht company Nordisk, did a blockchain to make insurance of the ships. So with that technology, you shouldn't look for a better conditions. Everything is going after automatically. Yes, professional services, and we are professional services. They are drivers, and as I told you before, we are making alliances one with another. And what is really important with ecosystems, that ecosystems can be done one time and forever. They should be designed the way that every part of every company of ecosystem should become more profitable, but ecosystem as a whole should be even more profitable than every participant. Yes, sometimes it's very difficult to build up an ecosystem on one fixed platform. So it should work with some intermediary decisions. I can tell you that, for example, here in Russia, this process is going really hard because Big companies, they are governed by the states sometime, and they think that they have enough money, for example, to make upstream, then send this oil somewhere, then refine it, then sell and do marketing, etc. And probably in our Russian mind, it is still a barrier to share with others and make a more effective teaming with that kind of businesses. Yes, the right cloud-based platform facilitates ecosystem integration. And for example, speaking about the most successful ecosystems that we have right now, it is Amazon. They have different directions, not only selling goods and selling books, films, some kind of entertainment, but more than 10% of their business is a cloud technology which they share with their partners, which help them to develop. And you can imagine that 20 years ago, it was a bookstore where the cost of one quote was $3. And right now it is 3,600. So it is really amazing growth. And I can tell that even several years ago, nobody believes in that. And for example, if you invested $500, right now it will be up to $1 million. So also all these ecosystems and new customer bring changes in the agenda of C-suite directors of the companies, and they have to build up a committed to human-centered leadership, because real ecosystems are right now more and more agile. They have better operations with risks. And what is important, companies look for the values. And I think that practically every company, big company right now, have its own value, because without that it's very hard to develop their business. And if before business was very pragmatic, so it is revenue, earnings before tax, etc. So looking for some geographic expansion, to some merger and acquisitions. So right now we see that corporate governance and all the changes in that companies, they are going with, they can't go without values. And yes, these bigger ecosystems will be embedded in other external ecosystems and make this ecosystem orchestration. Yes, I told that agility right now is one of the top issues in CEO agenda. And we looked every year what is important, what is SEO imperative for different businesses. And you can see that, yes, still we have on the first place tech and digital information. We have customer expectations, which is driven by this new customer. Yes, we have global supply chain shifts. We have new business models. We have stakeholder capitalism. But right now we have other points that become very important to business. For example, if we look not from the start, but from the end, we can see that what does appear on the table of the series is culture and purpose, people and talent. Culture and purpose, for example, is quite new for many businesses, even the developed markets. But I can tell you that maybe we do not understand the importance right now, but gender equality brings financial results. So if we compare the companies where in the corporate board they have more than 30% of women, the results in average, financial results in average are better at 3%. So yes, probably we never thought about that so we in details, because my favorite example is from French Revolution, where you know there's the égalité, fraternité, I don't remember well, but okay, equality. And when Robespierre wrote this about that everybody are equal, they did not even think about women, because they were not an equal part of society at all. With the people and talent, it's another, I think, important thing, because when we work more and more remotely, when we less spend time together, when for us, for example, it's really a disaster, because if before we had an opportunity to meet our clients in face, probably have a cup of coffee with them, right now sometimes it's not possible, and discussions are going much more difficult. What is also important, and this also reconnect all our layers from the customer to the ecosystems to the business leadership, is risk monitoring, because right now it's becoming more difficult to manage these data-driven risks, analytics. Sometimes we have these ESG factors in risk assessments, and even we have some risk issues from from the decision of the governments, because, for example, quite soon all the Russian banks should use a local software which in Russia, which I don't know how they will do that, because so speaking about future enterprise, yes, we are more and more self-disrupting businesses and innovative. Yes, a lot of businesses face these disruption processes. They can't operate in new reality. They should be much more innovative. They should be human-centered. Yes, low carbon and sustainable, data and technology-driven, embedded in ecosystems, and focus on long-term value. Going back to this Peter Demedidis, you know, he is one of those who spoke about digital singularity. Probably you heard about that. Who heard about digital singularity? Okay. So it is the point where machines will be much more clever than human being, and over that point, all the processes will start to go even faster than now, and it will bring a real changes in everything. So maybe we can start with your questions, comments.
Hello, my name is Bulat. I'm from Kazan. Firstly, thank you for this informative lecture. And after, I want to just, my question is about the future of an ecosystems as a tool of maybe organization of working process too. We can see, in my opinion, two types of it. It is a hierarchy, vertical. Mosim says you monopoly with the mother companies, which goes to say their rules to other companies, which go, includes in ecosystems. And the another one is relatively independent companies, which united in a one, ecosystem, and it is a horizontal. As for you, what the type of this ecosystem are more real in future, in a long-term way?
So I think that probably it's too futuristic, but I think that everything is moving to distributed systems. And I think that a very successful startup can be, for example, to create this anonymous, let's say, set on blockchain parts of ecosystem, so that you even should not know who will help you with some services, but you will trust in their quality, about their professional value. So I told that really vertical ecosystems, they are not as agile in their decisions in attracting some financing, And yes, all the distributed systems, I think, will be much more successful, and this is for everywhere. For example, if you are going to Alibaba or Amazon or whatever, you also sometimes do not care who is a provider of the goods or services, and later on it will become more and more, let's say, intransparent for the final user, the final consumer, and that will be same for C2B, so consumer to business, and B2B as well. Because yes, this information is faster, quality of services becoming more and more equal, and yes, we have some problems right now, but we do not have borders with majority of technologies. So we can operate with some companies in Nigeria, for example, easily if they have really good programmers, for example. And this will be much more international. And then, like in my example with insurance services, that is the same. So if you will find a better proposition, a better cost, a better quality, it will does not matter. And I spoke a lot, for example, this is a bit different thing. I spoke a lot with my colleagues from consumer research about the future of brands. And even if you can see some brands on me, I think that probably very soon it will be not as important, because the quality of non-brand things, they will become the same technological one, the same of quality, and it will be, as we spoke before, more about emotions that you can have. Probably will have much more younger brands that will be that will go to these niches, and we'll see, I think, a lot of changes at the consumer market. We will see.
Hello, my name is Alexandra. I'm from Kazan Federal University. Thank you very much for your lecture. And my question is, what professions, in your opinion, are going to disappear in the near future? And what personal qualities and professional abilities will no longer be needed because they will be replaced by modern technologies? Thank you.
Good question, good point, because yes, we see that really many disruptive processes are going on. For example, in our business, I can tell that auditors sooner or later will more or less disappear, because if the work that was done by 10 auditors in 2 weeks, right now it is 2 auditors in 3 days, because everything is in a cloud, all the data is proofed, and with all the distributed technologies as well, with blockchain. More and more will have this approved. And many kind of these professions can disappear. Second, certainly professions that are connected to directions that can be substituted with Internet of Things. So I think that already all these guardians in shops are from the old times, and we can see that in many groceries you can cash yourself and buy without people. Second, yes, some operators of the processes, and it's easy because in transport, in the manufacturing sectors, we see all this disruption processes. But we think that this is not bad because right now we do not have this kind of feeling that a lot of people will be out with work, and new technologies will help us to be more creative, more productive, spend more time not only at home but with this work-life balance, let's say. And I like very much our futurologist Alexander Shulgin. He's a specialist in blockchains, etc. And his idea, for example, that many people will be involved, for example, playing tanks, etc., entertain and earn with that, because who knows, it's changed, everything is changing our life. But I think yes, people who have let's say wider education and wider interests, they will have much more opportunities. And even in our company, I can tell you that many new services we develop that substitute the older one. And if you are flexible in your attitude, if you have a wide angle, so read the books.
Good evening. My name is Alexander. I'm from Kazan. Firstly, I want to say thank you for this performance. Let's applaud it. And so my question is about team working. What principles of teamwork do you use to be productive?
You know what is good right now, what's changed a lot, that, for example, in our company, before we had a special team for Gazprom, because they had very focused understanding of the sector, of how this company operate, or group can specialize on some custom issues. Right now, certainly, information is much more. You can get any information, and you can attract different people for a teaming. And sometimes we especially take people from different specialties in one team. And I can give you an example of my team right now. I have a research center in Minsk, and right now they work from home practically all the time. One girl is working from Moscow, one guy from Tula, another from Tver, another from Moscow. So we are distributed. Probably we met face to face one time per month, but we have a possibility to reach the same results, more or less. But we are not a client-facing department. For client-facing business, yes, it's a bit more difficult because sometimes you have to go to some places at Altai Mountains, go into the copse, golden copse, etc. But I think that teaming is much more easier right now. And another example, yes, we are teaming with people from other companies. What is very, very new, because right now I had a project in Kazakhstan where we work together with SAP company, and it was yes, a quite compact team from different companies, but it was an interesting experience. I don't know if I answered it.
Thank you so much for this lecture. I have a question about the cryptocurrency. What do you think about it? Like there are more and more new cryptocurrencies appearing in the market, and also NFT tokens. How this is going to affect our economy, and especially in Russia, if this is going to be blocked or accepted and usable? Thank you.
You know, my mother owns an art gallery of with social realism, because so all the NFT tokens a very strange idea for me. But yes, I understand. I understand that things are changing and they are going into digital. And if we can have cryptocurrencies and everybody are used for them, why we couldn't have, for example, digital NFT art or I don't know, Vogue, which is different? Because I did one time a very interesting discussion with some fashion companies leaders, and anyway, all of them they think that the future is for the personalization of the things and all the wearables. And yes, I think it's good, and why not? Because technologies with textile, for example, they are moving ahead a lot, and I saw an example, for example, an example of textile that you can turn, and in 5 minutes it's automatically will be back. And some of them can change already colors if the temperature changes. Very interesting product. I don't remember, probably it's from Stone Island brand, that if the air is more polluted, your coat change the color to the gray one. So we don't know. But I think, yes, the future is more for technological things that brands, because
Hello, thank you for your informative presentation. My name is Aygurim, I'm from Kyrgyzstan. So, as you know, in May, Bernard Arnault became the world's richest man, the owner of Louis Vuitton. So, how would you describe the tendency in consumers' behavior during the pandemic that they started buying more luxury goods? I mean, this is what I think statistics show right now. And do you think it will continue growing and prospering?
I can give you an opposite example, that people stop to buy trousers and start to buy hygienic products, making a deficit of toilet paper, etc. So, but I think that with the luxury, I think that first people less travel, they less spend money on other things. So yes, why not? With all these processes, what we can see, for example, at the start of the pandemic, do-it-yourself segment of products like IKEA, like Leroy Merlin, they raise their sales about 3-5 times in 1 month. So people started to spend more money, more time probably at the places where they live. With the luxury, it's a difficult question, because, for example, right now we have a deficit in Russia in car production, because you know that this plant in Japan burnt out with electronic devices, but people are buying more cars because maybe they save some money with the travel, with their new wardrobe, for example, etc. So, frankly speaking, I spent about 2 months in sporting Adidas trousers, because you can see what is behind the table. So certainly the shift is, but with luxury product, it is more, I think, for Far East countries, Asian countries like China. They still have this tendency. But in Europe, I think it is less.
Hello, thank you for your lecture. My name is Alona, and I'm from Kazan. I have 2 questions. First is would transnational corporations with large ecosystems displace small and medium businesses in the future, of course? And the second one, how do you assess effectiveness of teamwork in your company?
I did not really heard the first one.
Would transnational corporations with large ecosystems displace small and medium businesses in the future?
Oh, good point, because it depends really on geopolitics, but the tendency is in a different way. Yes, the transnational companies sometimes it's become more difficult to cross the borders or operate with the local governance of their business. But they are still more effective. But if we look at the capitalization of these transnational companies, yes, we can see a shift between for example, classic upstream companies like ExxonMobil, like Shell, but we see that the race of technological companies like Google, Amazon, it's rising. But I think it's very difficult for them to split into smaller parts, because with all the technologies, the links between the businesses, they are stronger. So I can in 1 minute connect to any of my colleague at any place of the earth and ask him, and this is our advantage. But yes, with startups, we will have, like we spoke about ecosystems, a myriads of smaller companies that will enter these ecosystems that I told before. For me, is a very interesting opportunity to have this distributed business, and this will work together with the large transnational companies. About your second question, it's a really interesting one, because in my case, it's very easy, because we are a small group, and for our global colleagues, sometimes it's let's say a problem. It's more difficult to rate our work, because they do not connect with us on everyday basis. But in general, in the company, yes, it was a question about teaming, and people during the year, for example, they work in quite a big number of teams. So consultant can work during the year at 30 projects with different teams. And there we have a special feedbacks system where we have feedbacks from his peers, from the leaders of that groups. And with us, we are a consultant company, but we are auditors as well. And we calculate utilization of the time of every member of the company. So we are not selling goods, we are selling hours of our professionals. We do not own any office at any place of the world. So we have, let's say, a community of professionals, experts that are working together. So we have financial KPIs that are vivid, and we have some feedbacks that tell us about involvement of every member.
Alexei, thank you for your interesting presentations. And while our participants are coming up with their own questions, maybe there will be some more, I really like to ask you one my own. We know that there is a proper classification about generations. So we have got Gen Z, Y, and X. So in your opinion, what are the most important and fundamental differences between those generations as the consumers?
It's a very difficult question because, yes, I have a background of the consumer market research, but really I'm not on that side of the barricade right now. I will think about it and probably answer you tomorrow morning, because I will be glad to see you tomorrow and continue our discussion regarding another interesting point, how business really communicate with the state.
Thank you so much. One more. Guys, do you have any other questions? Oh, we have one. Oh, two.
Hello, my name is Alina. I'm from Volgograd. At first, thank you for the lecture. I want to ask you, how can you explain the fact that economic indicators getting better in companies with gender equal teams? Because I thought when you choose your employers, not because their achievements, but because of gender, no matter is woman or man, you will have a less strong team. So why we have this effect?
I can explain, because this is not a point to attract people that are less professional than their colleagues, but just fulfill this this target, for example, in gender equality, in inclusiveness. This is another point, how companies are working with this culture. Because right now, for example, I start work on a project to stimulate girls to go to STEM technologies. So you know STEM, it is science, technology, IT in general. Because if you will look for example, to the physics department, math departments, IT departments, we still have much less girls over there, and this is come, I think, from the past, and this is a barrier that we can change the culture. The same is for other inclusiveness cases. So yes, general, in a world, there is an association called 30% Club, where international companies were at the board. They have not less than 30% of women, but I think that it was not a point to fulfill these places. They are just reach this target. Speaking about our company, the specific of our business is that at the end we do not have any kind of we do not divide for a gender, for example, and we have, I think, much more women than the other companies, and in general we have much more women. But yes, this is a culture, and this is a process. So we know that it's impossible to tell that everybody have to be vaccinated, that we have to have 30% of women, as you told, gypsies or whatever. This does not work.
Hello, my name is Lem, and in this campus we are also making projects. So I'd like to have a question to my project. So what do you think? What is the perspective of distributing teams?
Very good perspective, because I think yes, we already have a lot of good examples. For example, in our company, we have a lot of translation procedures because of the accounting documents, etc. And right now, translators are distributed, and if they have a proven quality, then sometimes we do not even know who worked for us on that project. So if he signed some papers to disclosure in information, because some papers can be confidential. But it's very interesting to know what kind of direction you have in your project. So what is it is about, because distributed teams, they are interesting, but I think that still it's not possible to operate in all kind of businesses. In common?
Yes, we're talking about in common, like not the team, but how do they work, like in common. So we don't have such a small sphere about like design or this.
I think that it's already exists, and if you are telling about design, architecture, no? It does a lot, because yes, if they have a proven profile, then it is a trusted distributed network, and it can work properly and sometimes more effective way, because you don't have to organize the working places, etc. So why not?
Unfortunately, we're a little bit out of time right now, but we are all looking forward to hear your next lecture tomorrow. And thank you one more for such interesting and informative presentations.
Yeah, thank you everybody, and feel free to ask questions.